everyone. Oh, how are you doing today? It's Makeda Valletta. Oh, God, this is all these cords. I probably should get a microphone, right? It's Makeda Valletta. I'm on my IG page, Makeda Valletta Travels. I just wanted to do a quick video from Chicago, Illinois. Um, that's where I'm at right now. And, it's been interesting because, hold on. I'm from New York. I'm going to walk while I talk. But I live in Chicago. You can see the Lake Michigan behind me. I always like to show people how beautiful. Hello. I have other videos where I'm showing the lake. It's a little private part of the beach, a little mini beach. Anyhow, um, I wanted to make a quick video because a lot of people have probably seen um, the ice issues and stuff in Chicago, and it's been very interesting because I basically live between New York and Chicago. Um, I am from New York, live in Chicago. Hold on a minute, got too much going on. I'm in New York every single month. The neighborhood I'm from in New York is a heavily immigrant neighborhood. I'm from a neighborhood called Washington Heights, which is a heavily Dominican neighborhood. And in Chicago, my neighborhood is full of West Africans, East Indians, Mexicans, what else? A lot of everything in this neighborhood, but it's also highly immigrant neighborhood. And so as I see the issues with ICE since Trump has come into office, I'm like, when I'm looking at it on TV, I see ICE rolling up on people, but I haven't seen that in New York, and I haven't seen it in Chicago. And it's crazy because, and like the neighborhood that I'm from in New York, most of those people are probably not even legal, but I don't see that. So literally just yesterday, I went on Facebook. I was walking around my neighborhood thinking about how peaceful it is. My neighborhood is super diverse and very peaceful. I think it was Mexican Independence Day not too long ago. They had huge Mexican flags everywhere. I didn't see anybody trying to be discreet. And so I posted on Facebook yesterday, like, I haven't seen ICE in New York and Chicago at all. But I haven't seen them in my neighborhoods there, but I haven't seen them at all. So soon after I posted this, thank you for the compliment. Soon after I posted this, somebody I saw in Chicago had posted that ICE was downtown heavy, right? And then I saw on the news, ICE was getting off of boats downtown Chicago, and I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were chasing people or apprehending. I don't know. But there was a lot of ICE officers swarming downtown Chicago yesterday. So I'm like, that's interesting that I literally just said that I haven't seen them. I still haven't seen them, though. So even though on the news you see that they were downtown Chicago and you see all this drama, and they haven't been in my beautiful, lovely neighborhood. So it's been very interesting because if it wasn't for seeing on TV, what's happening, I would never think that was happening because I haven't seen it anywhere. And the people who follow my videos are all over the place. Some are not in America. Some people think, some Americans say that they're miserable, or some people think that living in this country right now is too stressful. And everybody has different experiences and live in different places. I'm going to say for me, let me show you something. Where I'm working right now, okay? It's a beautiful block. I love, trees. Well, I'm on live, so this is probably kind of not as sharp as it should be. It's probably going to be blurry. Um, but this is a beautiful, peaceful block that I'm walking down, right? And like every day, I'm walking through my neighborhood. Let me not get sprayed with water. Hold on. Hold on a second. Okay. I don't want to get sprayed. Let me go around this. Okay. So every day, I walk through my neighborhood. I love walking through my neighborhood. There's a lot of flowers and green and trees and butterflies and herbs and bees flying around. And to me, it's very peaceful. It is a beautiful neighborhood. There's a lot of beautiful neighborhoods in Chicago. Like, for me, I need to be in a beautiful city. And there's some beautiful neighborhoods in Chicago. Okay? See all this green behind me? Look. You know? You got a mixture of houses and buildings on the same block. Lots of lush greenery. And I want to show this because it's not to say that what's happening with ICE is not happening. But I see videos, let's say people in Haiti, for example. We see in Haiti, yeah, I like San Diego, okay. I'm not a big fan of the desert, but San Diego's cool. So, like, I don't see people, like Haitians, that will make videos in Haiti and be like, this is all of Haiti is not what you see. The media just wants to show you all the bad stuff, which is pretty bad, okay? And I've been to Haiti before. I went there 15 years ago. And it was very difficult to be there. It was a mess then, okay? Beautiful people. But, but they'll show you, oh, like the news is exaggerating. It's not all bad. Blah, 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 blah. They want to show you beautiful areas. Well, I could make that same kind of video in Chicago. And in New York. Because everything that I'm seeing on the news, with ICE running up in places and snatching people off the street, I haven't seen that. Granted, though, a lot of the first ICE snatching started at Columbia University, and I kind of grew up on that campus, and my mom is still involved. Even with that, I'm just saying, I haven't seen with my own eyes anybody get harassed. And when I'm walking around New York, it's peaceful to me. When I'm walking around, hold on, loud truck. And when I'm walking around Chicago, it's peaceful to me. Okay, that doesn't. Now America's a big country. Doesn't mean that what we see is not happening. But it's the same thing. Like when people I told you, make the Haiti videos in a small country, and they really want to show you that there's all these beautiful parts that they want to show you all these beautiful parts that has not been, that's not a war zone. Same thing with America. Okay, so I don't know if you're in Chicago or if you're in New York. Have you seen ICE? Because I haven't. Okay, now I want to say one thing though. I did have an issue. Like, and I've made videos. I was born and raised in New York City. I'm American, but I grew up around people from all over. Let's see if I can find some place to sit. And one of the issues that I do have, though, I feel like people always want to lecture Americans when we travel to other countries and tell us that we need to, basically, no matter who you are, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at, period. Okay? That's everybody should understand that. And everybody should understand that you should be assimilating. If you move to another country, you should be trying to assimilate to their culture, period. But in America, people will applaud people not assimilating. And that's how it is in my neighborhood in New York, which is heavily Dominican. I love Dominican people, but they don't assimilate like that. And that can be annoying, okay? Because sometimes it's like, it's one thing if I'm traveling. I travel a lot to other countries. If I'm in another country, I realize I'm in another country. I'm in your country. But when I'm in America, I don't want to feel like I'm in another country. And every country has, and when I say that, this is what I mean. I'm not talking about diversity. I'm talking about the fact that every country has culture, has the way they do things. Someone said that's the same problem I have with foreigners. Exactly. Every country has a way they do things. And I feel like in America, a lot of people come here and they think they don't have to respect that. So while people are always, why does he have to come right here? I'm recording something. I was trying to sit here by myself. People in Chicago always do this. Oh my God. I'm trying to sit here by myself. This is what people don't do in New York. I came and sat at this table by myself, and then here he comes, sitting here. Okay? People don't do that. Now I have to get up and move. It's freaking annoying. Jesus Christ. I walked over here and sat at my own damn table by myself, only for this man to come sit down talking to me with his fucking alcohol bottle. See, people in New York don't do that. See people in the respect. They don't do that shit in New York. They absolutely do not do that shit in New York. That's the thing about Chicago. There could be all the space in the world. The motherfuckers want to come sit right next to you. In New York, it's tight as hell. And people don't do that. They're not going to come sit all up on you. Like, move your fucking drunk ass. Anyhow. So I had two issues. One in New York and one in Chicago with people from, almost got into a fight. I almost caught ice on some people in my building, okay? Because first, I was in New York in an ice cream shop. Oh, here's the bees. Okay, he moves. Good. Move your fucking drunk ass. I was in New York in an ice cream shop and got into it with these Chinese people, okay? There were these Chinese people online. They were being, like, you know when you're on a line, if you're on a long line for something, it's like, once, these people get what they get and they get off the line keeps moving. Keep moving. Keep moving with the line. And they weren't. Like, I'm not going to get into the details of it because but basically I got into it with them because they were trying to act like we were in China and not America with the shit they were doing. And when I said that to them, I'm like, this is America. They're like, this is New York City. I'm like, yeah, it's New York City. It's motherfucking America. Like, New York City is a city. That's my hometown, but it's a city that's very international. And people really, just like in Miami, they be trying to act like they're not in America. No, your ass is in America. Respect how we do things here. This is not your country. And if Americans do that shit in other people's countries, they call us obnoxious. Now, I was in my building in Chicago, and I went downstairs. There was like, 2 washers and 2 dryers. And I go downstairs to I put my stuff in the washing machine. There was let's say it's washer 1 and washer 2. I put my stuff in washer 2. Washer 1 has something in it. I go upstairs, come back down. When I opened the washing machine wasn't working. The washing machine in my building sometimes doesn't work. So just my clothes are like 20% wet, didn't go through the cycle. So I'm like, damn, I might have to use the other machine. Now I can see that machine number 1 now had another load, a brand new load in it, because when I looked at machine number 1 before, it was almost on the spin cycle. Now I'm looking at it again, it was on a brand new cycle. And I knew it was the same person because the person had their stuff on top of the washing machine. So I knew it was the same person that had a second cycle. So I said, okay, let me come back down like 25 minutes and just catch it, after this person is done. So I come back downstairs. This Mexican woman comes in with a basket, she goes to the dryer, is doing what she's doing. Then the washing machine stops. She comes and gets all her stuff out of the washing machine. She takes all of her stuff out of the washing machine, goes to the dryer. So now the washing machine number 1 is empty. I started putting my stuff in to the machine. And so then she starts getting mad. I mean, she's upset because she's acting like she owned the machine, right? And she's like arguing with me, and I'm like, that machine doesn't work. Because she's trying to tell me to use machine number 2. I'm like, it doesn't work. And then she's telling me, I don't speak English, right? She's telling me she doesn't speak English, and she takes out 6 quarters. She puts those 6 quarters in machine number 2, okay, which is where I took my stuff out of. She puts her quarters in there and puts it in, and is like trying to tell me the machine works. And I'm like, I don't know what the point was of you putting money in the machine, but the machine don't work. If you think the machine works, you use that machine. I'm not using that machine. It doesn't work. And so I'm like, You already did 2 loads in this machine. Like, you don't, this is not you don't own this. She leaves out, comes back with her husband. Her husband gets to my face. Oh, why'd you push my wife? And da-da-da-da. He starts accusing me of pushing his wife, right? I'm like, I did not touch your wife. This man is dead ass accusing me of physically assaulting her and is like in my face. Like, first of all, we don't do that in America, okay? How do you go get your husband to come in a woman's space over a washing machine? And then for her to tell me she don't speak English. Like, if I travel, this is a travel page, I travel to other countries. If I was in Colombia or Mexico or some other foreign country, I mean, I understand enough Spanish, but first of all, I wouldn't get into an argument with somebody in that country, okay? If I was staying in a building. Secondly, I can't even speak the language. I'm definitely not trying to argue with you. Like, and then this husband comes in my face, and I had, like, one of my good friends was actually visiting. He was upstairs, and I asked him to come. I was asking him to come bring my quarters because I actually left my quarters upstairs. I wasn't even calling him downstairs because of this issue. But while I'm on the phone with him, telling him, oh, I forgot my quarters upstairs, now the husband comes in and starts getting in my face, and that shit was pissing me off. So now me and him is arguing. So my friend, he's like, he comes down to the laundry room, and then me and him, because I'm a black woman, my patience be short, people coming at me sideways. And this, now you accusing me of shit I didn't do. Acting like you fucking own this washing machine. And then the guy accuses me of discriminating against them. He says, that's not fair. Because we speak Spanish, you're discriminating. That shit had me livid. I'm like, I know this motherfucker is not accusing me of discriminating. Okay? When, bitch, you don't own, I said, do you own these machines? Do you own this building? No, I don't. So then, what the fuck? This is not your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, like I said, I grew up in New York and Washington Heights. I love Dominican people, but a lot of immigrants in this country be acting like they be doing, like, okay, in my neighborhood, like, Dominicans, they will come outside on the sidewalk with the loudest speakers, put that shit in the window, bring all their chairs and stuff outside like they in their backyard. It's not your backyard, it's a sidewalk. That's not what we do in America. But because America has so many different cultures, and a lot of people that come to America bring their culture and still want to live like they're in their country, a lot of times in different parts of America, we see these things. It's not a part of our culture. And we've been pretty accepting of it. But people aren't accepting of it when we are in their countries. If you go to the Muslim countries, they want you to cover. I don't want to go in no country where I got to cover up. Shoot. I need my skin out. You see? Skin. I need the sun on my skin. I don't want to go to a country where I could get locked up because my skin is out. Not interested. But yet people will be in this country walking around all covered up with a little slit. And if we tell them take that shit off, we're xenophobic and it's a problem. So I just don't like the fact that everybody understands it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. You need to respect the culture of where you are. And everybody stresses that, but that don't seem to matter in America. And I'd be tired of that shit. And I really want to call ICE on my neighbors. Because I'm like, I know you didn't just do, this man didn't come in my face over a washing machine. Then he threatened to call the police on me. It's like, you call the police, they're going to take your asses out of here. Because your wife don't even speak English. Like, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Somebody said, no, they don't act like that in their country. They come to America and think they're sweet. They do. They be doing too much, somebody else said. Exactly. And that's why, even with fighting ICE, I'm sorry, but it doesn't make sense to me. If I'm in a foreign country, and again, I've traveled to a lot of countries, and I'm not there illegally, if I'm there legally or non-legally, I'm not fighting with immigration officers. And if I know I'm not legal, I'm definitely not. But I'm not, even if I'm legal, I'm not fighting, because them countries be really corrupt. Your ass will go missing, okay? People talk about America. Them countries, there'd be no investigation. You would go missing, and nobody ever heard from you again. So I wouldn't be in another country fighting with immigration officers or law enforcement. Nobody would be doing that in Russia. Nobody would be doing that in Nigeria. Nobody would be doing that in Jamaica. But people do it in America. Like, it's like people don't respect law enforcement. And I'm not saying law enforcement is not flawed and hasn't had the issues. I'm just saying people don't. I bet you go to another country and act like the way people act with cops. And first of all, if you go to Cuba, it's illegal to even film the police, so you can't even film them. You think you're in Cuba and you're being treated unfairly, and you want to record some shit? That's illegal. You could get arrested and thrown in jail just for that. Okay, so to me, I look at it as too much entitlement. If you're not legally in the country, what what right do you have to be fighting immigration? Now, I'm not saying that the way that their tactics are right, they're rolling up on people and not identifying themselves. I'm not saying that's right, but I'm not fighting about it, because the way you prevent that is if you know you're not here legally, just leave. Like, if you don't want to get sent to alligator Alcatraz or deported to Uganda or whatever, you can always just leave. That's what I would do. If I was in Colombia or Mexico and I knew I wasn't there legally, oh my God, sorry, there'll be stuff biting me or on me. If I knew I wasn't there legally and I saw them coming after people like that, I would be like, you know what, let me go. Because I don't want to get sent to I don't want to go to that. Yeah, see that once they come to America, they think they're untouchable. Exactly. And that's a disrespect that I see going on here, and I see nobody talking about that. And I am a Democrat. I voted for Kamala, but I did not like it. I did a video during the DNC. I didn't like how they stress immigrants too much. They talk about immigrants more than Americans. Even right now in the news, like, do they ever talk about what Americans are going through? Everything is a sob story about somebody that got deported. And honestly and truly, if that was happening to us in their country, I guarantee nobody would care. Nobody in those countries would be protesting. Nobody in those countries will be feeling sorry for us. Nobody, they would not. So I'm not interested in wasting my energy on that. And I do think that there's too many people here and it has affected the wages in this country, and it has affected a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? Every country's allowed to have borders, and America doesn't have to take everybody forever. And then people don't want to assimilate. There's so many times in this country where people don't speak English, like this, and it's not just Spanish. I could deal with Spanish, right? But if you speak like a Chicago, it'd be Ukrainian. You go to a Thai restaurant, they don't speak English. You're gonna get nails done, they don't speak English. That's annoying. Like, it's one thing if I'm in Asia, but I'm not. So if I'm trying to get a service here in America and you don't understand me, that's a problem. And if Americans did that, if Americans are moving to all these countries, opening up businesses, not speaking a word of the language, only hiring Americans, people would be outraged. Do you see what's going on in Mexico City right now? They're destroying American businesses. Oh. But the thing is, when Americans open up businesses in Mexico and Ecuador and Costa Rica, please don't let this bee come by me. When Americans open up those businesses, Americans hire people from those countries. They don't hire all Americans. When Americans open up mom and pop businesses in those countries, they hire people from those countries. But when Mexicans or any immigrants in America open up businesses, they hire their own people. Chinese people hire Chinese people. Mexicans hire Mexicans. They're not giving us jobs. And if anything, they are contributing to lowering the wages. And nobody wants to talk about that. Every other country can be mad about immigration. Mexico is destroying American businesses, destroying them. We're not destroying Mexican businesses in America, and there's way more Mexicans in America than there are Americans in Mexico. And nobody is destroying their businesses because they're not hiring us, and they are also contributing to wages being dropped in certain industries, and also contributing to rent prices going up in certain areas. Sometimes you have several people in an apartment that should not be doing that, and if it was us, they wouldn't allow it. But with them, they look the other way. So there's a lot of things that people who are legal and illegal in this country get over Americans. And I'm just tired of the sob stories. Right now, I'm focused on Americans. Okay? Like, we have been very giving. And the narrative is that Americans are just, obnoxious. And we need to be more cultured. And we need to try to speak the language when we go places. And we need to assimilate, or we're ignorant Americans. But people don't have that same, I'm like, have that same energy. Have that same energy. Think about how you would feel if Americans were in Mexico or in whatever country burning your flags. That's the highest level of disrespect. Burning their flags and waving ours. If Americans were in Mexico or any country waving American flags, people would be so mad. But people do that in this country all the time. So I'm just saying, people have to get good at looking at things from all angles and taking yourself, like applying the situation to you and your people in your country. People aren't doing that. People are not. And it's very one-sided. And there's Americans who live in war zones as well. And there's nowhere for them to run. We did have Assata that ran to Cuba and they protected her. And Cuba's one of my favorite countries. But if an American is in a war zone and needs to run, and if she ran to Cuba, she couldn't probably like fully live her life. You know what I'm saying? She couldn't open up businesses. I don't know if she ever saw her family again. You know what I'm saying? Someone said, when you come to America, respect our culture and adapt or get the fuck out. That's exactly how I feel. And we get called xenophobic for that. But yet, every country understands that. Every country. There's so many travel pages that people make videos about what to know before you travel to this country. The do's and don't do's. I should make a do's and don't do's in America. I was on a boat ride in Chicago, and it was an architectural boat ride where they're giving a lecture about the history of architecture. And there was this Mexican family who was so loud. Okay, they were talking. It was so rude. And I tried to ask them to be quiet so many times. It was irking my nerves because I want to hear what the man is saying on this tour. And then finally I was like, yo, I had to snap on him, like, shut up. Like, that's not American. Like, to us, that's rude. You be having foreigners, especially Spanish-speaking ones, a lot of times be just loud at the wrong time. And it's like, read the room. I don't know what you do over there, but over here, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit's mad rude. You're not even trying to whisper. You know? Someone said you give people an inch, you take them out. Yeah. So this needs to be spoken about. I'm tired of and stop putting, and the other thing is you have a lot of, for the black Americans who don't want to fight, who are like, I'm not going to fight ICE for you. I'm not going to be involved in that. Then they say, oh, well, they're coming for you next. And it's like, first of all, when people say that makes me want to call ICE on them right now, okay? Because that's out of line. Americans, we would never go to another country and do that. We would never, if you had Americans who were in another country and we were illegal and immigration was coming after us, we would never turn around and say to the people who always been there, oh, well, they're coming after you next. Like, that's mad rude and out of pocket. And they've been coming for us, but ICE ain't coming for us because we're not illegals. We're not immigrants. We've always been here. And I'm tired of people trying to say that black Americans, true black Americans, FBAs, are in the same category as immigrants. We are not in the same category, in the same boat as immigrants. So stop putting us in the same boat as immigrants. We have always been here. We are not in the same boat as white people neither because we've been here longer than them. Nobody's more American than the copper-complected people from this land. Okay? I don't chase my roots to other countries. I'm not going to go run to this other country when shit gets tough. And a lot of people who came to this country, who immigrated here, they didn't really care about this country. They cared about what they could get. A lot of them wanted to go back home, and all they wanted to do was use America to get whatever money they could get and go back home. And they really did not care what happens to this country. And it's crazy because I was in a store in Chicago, and I heard this man that worked in the store. He's from some country, some foreigner. He was talking to another man in the store about where he went on his honeymoon, right? And he's somewhere in the Mediterranean, right? So he's like, oh, yeah. He said, oh, yeah, the food there is way better than here, way fresher. And I said to him, it depends on where you go in America. There's a lot of good food in America. There's a lot of good, fresh food in America. I hate this narrative that all the food in America is processed and all of it is processed and crap and it's fake. That's not true. Yes, there's a lot of processed food in America, but there's a lot of natural food in America that's coming from local family farmers. There's a lot of stuff you can find in America you can't find in other places. I've done several videos about that. It depends on where you are. Certain states are better than others. You know what I'm saying? But that's not true. And after he said that, I go down the street to a food co-op, and they were actually having an event where they had all these different Chicago companies that make homemade, not homemade because they're using it in commercial. It's Chicago made, locally made. Let me say that they're making it in commercial kitchens, different food products, soups, infused olive oils, honey, different things, and they were quality products. And when I'm in other countries, when I'm in South America, the Caribbean, Africa, I go in every supermarket I see, and they have nothing but processed crap. I talk about that a lot on my other page, The Body Scientist. But I'm just tired of the narrative that everything in America is trash, everything in America is cheap, everything in America is garbage, and it's only processed food, and you can't find. That's all a bunch of bullshit. Okay, and I talk a lot about that in my page, The Body Scientist 81. But if you are somebody who's not in America and you're like wondering what the vibe is, and you were thinking about coming here, and we all see the violence in the news, people are crazy here. There's always a mass shooting, and so yeah, and so some people who are not in America could be like, how can people live like that? How could they? And America's a big country. As much as it happens, some people that's never a part of their life or their reality. You know what I'm saying? And I can say this part hasn't been a part of mine. Hopefully it stays that way. But I'm just saying it's like on an everyday thing. I'm not walking around stressed out and depressed and seeing ICE jumping out. So I just wanted to make a video about that. And Chicago's a beautiful day. This neighborhood that I'm in right now is I'm probably like the only American in this neighborhood, and I haven't seen ICE at all. Okay, so if you have any observations from where you are, let me know. And it's interesting because, yeah, I'm not even going to get into that. But, yeah, basically respect America the way people want, your countries to be respected. Burning our flags and waving yours, and people get too comfortable talking shit about America in America when they're not from here, and I would never do that. I would never be in Colombia and talk shit about Colombians right in front of everybody, and I'm in your country out of pocket. And foreigners feel really comfortable doing that here. So anyhow, I just wanted to give that 2 cents, and if I ever have an update, I'll give it to you. I'm out getting my sunlight. You can check me out in The Body Scientist 81. I did a video about sun medicine, and I'm about to get up and finish my walk home. So I hope you guys had a great day. Please leave your 2 cents. Make sure to follow me on YouTube. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.